A pleasure to meet all at last, and we are back at it again with more HGN Season 5, and it's important to note that with all the new subjects I have in line, do be patient. In case you do happen to have certain requests, I'm still open to a good amount of them, and I do aim to go for as much material as I can. I probably will have a really good amount of episodes to work with. Probably nowhere near the levels of where the previous seasons were like. I probably won't go much further than what Season 3 had with over 900 episodes worth of HGN, but for Season 5, I intend to make this the last. So, it makes sense why I want to put in so much content, as I can, at least. Anyways, we're going to be talking about Trilobites for number 2670. Trilobites, as most people probably understand at the very minimum, are once again a unique historical segment that can show up here on this channel. What they are specifically are tiny little organisms that had originally become a massive part in the development of such larger species on Earth. They had appeared many millions of years ago, at least at some point during the Paleozoic era. At some point around the Cambrian period of the Paleozoic era, basically a mass pioneer in which that many species were more waterborne than landborne, because, after all, it was the Devonian era that allowed for a lot of things to happen. But 300 million years ago, there were probably a good amount of land-dwelling creatures by that point. Some of the first fish to walk on land, and eventually the race to the lands, sort of like what happened in the race to the moon, at least the way Trey the Explainer had taught us over the years. It was quite a big deal, but the Cambrian period, as well as other surrounding periods in which that, well, the Paleozoic mass extinction ended. The so-called Carboniferous mass extinction went down. And it was quite a massive moment in history. It was much worse than what happened at the end of the Mesozoic era, in which that the dinosaurs were brought to extinction 65 million years ago. But when the Carboniferous mass extinction took place, it was even worse, because 70% of life on Earth were wiped out at the end of the Mesozoic era, but at the end of the Paleozoic era, 90% of all life was wiped out, and a good majority of which were mostly sea-dwelling creatures out there, as well as giant bugs, most likely because oxygen levels at the time were even higher. But I feel like I'm getting off track at this point, talking a little more about what the more notable events of the Paleozoic era are. So anyways, with 300 to 500 million years worth of trilobite evolution that took place, these kinds of creatures, which were mainly associated with the arthropod phylum, are often known to be some of the big predecessors to various shellfish out there. Such trilobites can include such creatures that are more of the arthropod type, almost appearing sort of like a combination of shrimp and, well, centipedes pretty much. But as you probably know by now, the Permian mass extinction, apart from what the Carboniferous period did, it was a horrifying event that was dubbed the Great Dying. And this extinction period, which eventually led to the transition from Paleozoic to Triassic period of the Mesozoic era in Earth's history, also did contribute to the likes of many trilobites going extinct, and eventually with many reptiles and amphibious species, flying creatures, and some sea-dwelling creatures of similar species eventually dominating the world throughout the rest of the Mesozoic era. But at the end of the day, had it not been for the trilobites, there sure probably would not have been that many species out there worth evolving. And we know that with most insects and such species, while trilobites are more of the waterborne level of insects, there still are a good amount of waterborne insects out there. Some spiders can swim underwater. There are June bugs, dragonflies, even though they probably can't swim underwater. They are known to hang around water more in areas just as well. In any case though, with trilobites, something I probably could have touched up on in Million Year Story last year, but I'm not exactly hopeful to make it a problem. I just wanted to ensure that trilobites were well understood, and of course, the many periods of the Mesozoic and Paleozoic era were of course mentioned throughout this show, and the history I had to bring up with it. Anyways though, this is all I got to offer for today's piece of HJN, so make sure to like, subscribe, comment, follow me wherever you can find me, and stay on the Hollywood side.